Okay, so now we're ready to move on to the actual build video. And if you're wondering what came in shipment number 7, I did a complete unboxing video for you, so I'm really not going to be going over anything like that in this video. This is going to be the build. So, we're going to start with number 33. And you can see we've got tons of little pipes. So let's put that over there. And let me show you guys. This is the first one we had done. How cool does that look? So we can put it here. We'll use that as a reference. So let's get everything out of issue number 33. Here it is. You can tell by that little round thing. And it looks like we've got this as well. And we're going to need super glue for this. So this is going to go like that, and this is going to go, looks like into that back hole right there. All right, and that's how that's going to go. Okay, what's next? Moving on. Oh boy, we're diving right into that. We got to do the gangways, and you can see how they have to be at a 90-degree angle. And we got to do both sides of them. And to give you an idea of what they're going to look like is right there. Little gangways on either side of the pistons going all the way down. So that's what we got to do. See how it's level? So we're going to have to do that all the way down on either side. And again, we got to make sure that they're straight. They got to be straight because we're going to put more catwalks that are going to connect to them, and we also got to make sure that the pistons don't hit them. So they got to be completely straight. So that one looks good. All right, we got to do this all the way down for both sides. There, hopefully you can see that one right there. All right, now we got to do the inner one. Hopefully you can see them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hopefully you can see this one now. All right. Hopefully you can see the two right there. And again, we got to keep them, make sure they're straight because they got to line up with the catwalk. So we got 2 left. And luckily, we got 1 left that's going to go on the outside, so that one won't be as bad. There, we got all the gangways on the inside. And when it comes to these things, I'm not taking any chances. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put some reinforcing drops of glue on them all. Because I want to make sure these things aren't going anywhere. And what I'm doing is I'm putting a drop of glue above it. so the glue can run down onto it, because I don't want to risk banging it with the glue bottle and then having it come off. So again, we're just doing it right on the top. And so we did that. And let's see. Looks like we're gonna put it on the side with the gear or the flywheel. Okay, so let's find these pieces. Oh man. Man, that's small. And they're gonna go on this piece right here. So I think put a little drop of glue. See, the drop comes out and it's way too much. I wish there was a way to not put as much in. It's gonna go just like this. So let's put this down and let it set for a minute. And where's that gonna go? It looks like that's gonna go right over here. Right on the side, on the top, the upper right side of the flywheel. That looks pretty cool. Now we're going to take this section and we're going to put it onto the side, and that's 33E. And I think that's what this is. Yeah. All right, that's on. And it looks like we're going to take the one that has the, looks like this one. Yep. And this is going to go into these along the sides. So let's put just a smidge of glue onto here. All right, what's next? That looks good. And now we're going to take 33J, and that looks like that's going to go up on either side of the top. There we are. That looks pretty cool. All right, what else? Now, you can see we're going to do that little wheel. It's on the side. Give that a moment to set. That way there, we can put the wheel in. Here we are. Okay, so that's in. And we're going to do 33P now. So that's going to go just like that. Nice. Okay, that's in. So why don't we go ahead now, and I think we're going to need 33A, and I think that's what this is. There. To make sure we don't forget any pieces. Okay, now that looks good. And now, let's see. We're ready for 33A. We can see where that's going to go in. This is going to go right on here. And while all this is going on, we got to make sure we don't get glue onto the pistons. Okay, so that's what we're looking like right now. And let's see, 33R into the pipe fit in the holes of the base of the cylinders and glue in place. We did that. Okay, so we've got this section. So all right, we got to give this a second, just a minute to set. All right, so that's how that's going to go, just like that. On to number 34. You can see we're going to take this section, and this is 34A, and we got 34C. That's going to go into those two little holes. Oh man, see how small that is? Okay, that's in. All right, so you can see that. Hopefully you can see that. Now what we got to do is we got to screw the screws into the bottom of that. Man, that's tiny. You can see we got to put the screws into the bottom of it. Okay, so this section is looking pretty good. So we got to go to some more tiny little parts now. Okay. All right, so we got that in. Oh man. So you can see we're going to put it onto the floor of the engine room. And we've got the other thrust block right there, so I guess we're going to put it onto this side. And again, you don't want to over tighten these screws because this is going into plastic. See that? So now we got to take the two halves of the thrust block itself. All right, let's let those dry before I even going to attempt to handle these things. Okay, and those are going to go onto the thrust block. You can see the little faucet goes in over there. And those are going to be held in place with EP screws, and we only got 2 of them, so we can tell that that's going to hold it into place. All right, guys. It's going to go in there, around, wrap around, and go into the side. Now tell me why that couldn't be one piece, right? All right, let's try to do the same thing for the other side. All right, hopefully you guys can see how dreadfully small that is. And all right, we've got the little faucet on the side. This is the way it's going to go in. So now what we got to do is we have to take the EP screws, and this is when we got to screw it into the bottom. So let's get the EP tightened and strip it. All right, so we got the thrust block screwed down, and we also super glued it, and you can see all the small pieces. You can hear it click into place. And what do we need to secure it? We need an FP screw, and that's the black one. That one's right here. Let you know if you got it in the right place or not. And I can go right there. Okay, what's next? It looks like we have 34E. That's actually a piece. Alright, that's going to go here. So this is a little dial. Look how freaking small that is. I don't know if you can see that. Right there, that dial. Right there. So it looks like what we're going to do now is we're going to put the walkway onto the engine. And we're going to put a little drop into each of the grooves. And we're going to take our catwalk, or our walking platform, and we're going to line them up, and we're going to put them in to the slots. Like so. And see how I was telling you guys about we needed to line up the catwalks in between the cylinders, because we need to have it even, just like that. Okay, what's next? Looks like we've got, oh, we forgot this section. So this is 34V, and that's going to go in right there. Yeah, we got to make sure that this is not going to interfere with the pistons or the swing arms. Just like that. So let's let that dry. All right, that's the completed work. So let's move on. I think we got the gears next, but I'm not sure. All right, so we're moving on to the gearbox. And this is 35. You can better believe that this is going to be something that we're not going to want to mess up. And we've got all these little pins. We got 4 of these. Take the gearbox, 35B, the 4 cogs, 35C, and the 4 shafts, 35G. Insert the shafts into the 4 holes circled above. Then slide the A cogs, 35C, onto the shafts. Note that the clogs on the left-hand side interlock. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put all of the little pegs in. And these are going to be rotating, so these are not going to be glued. Okay, let me show you guys what we got so far. All the pegs are in. And what we're going to do now is we're going to take the gears, and I guess it doesn't matter which side they go on because they're both the same, but they're going to interlock, so we're going to have to make sure that the gears are going to line up. So it looks like the 2 on the left are going to interlock. The 2 on the right are not. So we're going to make sure that the gears line up so they don't end up stripping. Let me show you guys. You can tell that they're all set to go when you can move it and they both move. So that looks pretty good. All right, let's move on. Now we're going to use the other ones, the 35Es. You can see how they're going to go. So when you take it, you can see there's a little flat section. Hopefully you can see that. The little flat section has to line up with the gears, but the flat section has to be on the bottom. Hopefully you can see that that's the way it lines up. And we've got the 2 where the flat sections have to be on the inner parts. See how they're all lined up? I hope you guys can see that. Okay, now we need to put this, looks like we're putting one in the middle, like that. Okay. Make sure the gearbox works properly. It is essential to lubricate the moving parts. Dip the applicator into the lubricant 35H and apply it to the teeth of the cogs and the cog shafts. Put a little bit of grease on, and let's see. Gotta get this. All right, so we put the lubricant on the gears. They didn't really give that much, so hopefully it's good. All right, again, I hope you guys can see that. Fit the cover on the gearbox, ensuring that the shafts and stems of the cogs B, C, and D fit in the corresponding sockets and holes in 35A. Fix the cover in place with 7 CP screws. All right, now let's go around and we're going to tighten them up. Again, I want to make sure they're tight, but not over tightened, because we do not want these stripped. That would be a nightmare. All right. So let's hope that this is good. I don't see any gaps. You can see we're going to put the shaft. Check the gearbox is working. Fit the end of one of the shafts into the socket. Here they are. All right, here's the moment of truth. 3 sockets rotate. All right, so you can see it's got the half moon. And don't look now, but it's looking pretty good, guys. All right, that looks pretty good. There. And that's the completed work for 35. And we're going to work on the steam turbine now. All right. Let's put everything aside. And let's see. We're going to get to section 36, or issue 36. So this is going to go on like that. So that fits on pretty nicely. And we're going to do the same thing for the other side. And this is going to be affixed with AP screws. Here we are. And we'll do the same thing for the other side. Again, just a bit. Here. All right, that looks good. Okay, so that's how it's supposed to go. Nice and snug. We've got, and again, you get the flat side, which helps line them up. That's a good thing. And just a bit of glue. Naturally, there's 2 different ones. So this one, and let's see. We've got the larger one. There. It's super glued. These pieces fit in really well. They might not necessarily need gluing, but why not? It's better to be safe than sorry. But they do fit together very nicely. All right, let's put some glue on this section. And again, they gotta be straight. And these click into place. Just like that. And you can see you got to make sure that they're even and that they're both straight. So these are condensers with the steam pipes. And let's move on. This section, all right, let's see what this is. Take the engine room floor and the thrust block assembly from issue 34. Fit the turbine base to the floor. 3 screw sockets of the base of part 36. Fit into the 3 screw holes, 26H, between the 2 ribs. Turn the assembly over so that you can affix in place with 3 AP screws. Okay, so this is where it's going to go. Just like that. And we're going to put the screws in place. There we are. So that's nice and secured and it's glued down. And make sure it's going the right way onto the engine room floor. So what are we going to do now? Looks like we have to take that other section of the floor. And we're going to need AP screws. So let's get those ready. We're going to need 3 of those. So you can see how they're going to go. It's going to go into place. There. In the next steps, we'll have to fix the 2 reciprocating engines to the floor of the engine room. Before proceeding, make sure that the engine has been assembled correctly. In particular, check that there is no gap between the feet of the column and the catwalk around the base of the engine. If there is a gap, you can correct it by following step 7 below. Okay, sorry about that, my camera died. Let me show you guys. Actually, I'm going to show you guys the steps that you may need to take with yours. I'm having some issues with mine, and I'll get to that in a moment. So I had to do a little bit of modifying. But this is what I was doing when my camera died. Because there was a gap between the feet of the cylinders and the base. So if there was a gap, it showed you how to fix it. And what you had to do is you had to take the bottom piece off, take all the screws out, and then right where the flywheel was, there was the little piece that holds the shaft. And they must have made an error when they printed it, because they must have told us to put it in this way. Otherwise, I don't know why they would go out of their way to see if this error would be correct or not. But that's how mine was. Because the shaft, you're thinking that that's the side it's going to go on, but it actually needed to be turned around, and the gap disappeared. But another thing that I'm having problems with is that, see how far out the flywheel is? I followed the instructions. I put the engine in, and we screwed it in place, but it was just too snug. I couldn't get it to fit in there, so I had to move the thrust block back just a little bit. It's not really noticeable unless I would have told you, but to get it to fit, and remember, the shaft has to go in, it has to rotate freely, so that's what I was doing. And then on this side, when they talk about the flywheel on, now when we had done that one, they suggested that we super glue the flywheel on, so I'm not about to I can't rip it off, it's got super glue on it. And there's more of a gap between the flywheel and the platform, at least on mine. So I wasn't able to put it in, it was right up against the thrust block. So that's why I had to move the thrust block back just a bit in order to get the shaft in. But I'll show you what I did, and we're going to do the same thing with the other engine now. We'll put the other engine in. Let me show you guys how it fits. So again, we've got the flywheel, and it's going to go right up against the thrust block. And I'm gonna line up the holes in this one. So this one went in a lot easier. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna put in 4 EP screws. There. So we got the engines on, and let's see what they want us to do next. All right, so the pipes go in, we did that. And this is the completed work. Again, when you guys work on this, be very careful for these little pins on top because these are so fragile. So, and we did the turbine. So now we're ready to move on to 37. It looks like we're going to be getting the motor. So, we're going to take the engine room floor for now. We're going to put that aside. Take the motor and the gearbox from issue 35. The shaft of the motor has to be fitted into the socket and the cog at the top of the gearbox cover. You will need to rotate the socket so that the D shape can be aligned with the shaft of the motor. To do this, use the shaft's 37D to rotate the cog at the bottom right-hand corner left. Note the position on the flat side of the motor. The cables red, left, black, and right when correctly fitted below. Here we are. So you can see how we're going to affix the engine or the motor in place. And what is that? This one? This one. And the wires are going to come out from there. There we are. And those are going to go into the corners. Now we got to be careful with this because this is all plastic, so we don't want to strip it. There we are. Alright, what's next? Looks like we're going to take this section, and this is going to go on there, and we've got to run the wire through again. And that's going to be held in place with 4 AP screws on the inside. There we are. Take shaft 37D, fit the D-shape end of the shaft into the center of the cog, circled, top right above. Push the shaft firmly into the cog. It should rotate freely. And that's everything for this section. Get some fun. We get to check the motors out. So looks like we're going to put this into the extra part that we had put on. So let's make sure that that's still in. We also got to make sure that this is going to line up. Okay, so we rotate the shafts coming from the thrust blocks, and we got to maneuver them into the gearbox just like that. Now it's odd because this isn't really going to anything, the gear. So you can see when they're aligned, they push in all the way. The longer ends go into the gearbox. And then we got to affix them in place with AP screws. We need 4 of them. Alright, and if everything goes well, this is what we have right here. Now you are ready for the test run. Connect the motor cable to the MOT socket PC board. Connect the USB cable to the socket of a desktop or a laptop.